listening to iCannabisRadio.com.
Little
And welcome to Overgrow the Radio. I'm your host, Stickman, and I'm actually flying solo tonight. My co-host, Elisa, has a big day Monday, which we're going to talk about in just a second. And my other co-host picked up a little bug from her son. So I'm joined here with Mason Tvert. Mason, I let him introduce himself because he's had a few titles over the years. So
Sure. Well, currently I'm the campaign co-director for the campaign to regulate marijuana like alcohol, which is supporting Amendment 64 here on the ballot in November.
Which is really exciting.
I suppose I should specify in Colorado in case you have some out-of-town listeners.
Right. Well, we hope we reach people around the world. With 64, you know, I since this came on the ballot, I've seen it as history. When California tried, I didn't see it going through. Prop 19 was set up to fail from the get-go, I thought, only because of the infighting. What I've personally seen in Denver and in Colorado in general since I've lived here, we've gotten a lot better with that. I think we see support coming from all sides for 64, and I really think we have the support to get it done.
Oh, absolutely. You know, we have the broadest coalition that's really ever been formed for any statewide initiative anywhere, and there's more public support than ever before, and we're just continually picking up steam, so things are looking very, very good.
Right on. Well, we're going to digress here for just a minute. You're welcome to join in with me on these fun news topics today. First off, I do want to talk about Monday at 8 a.m. We need everyone possible at the El Paso County Courthouse for Bob Krause's birthday party, which is a little ironic. His court date's been pushed out to the 25th, but Elisa Kappelman does start Monday morning. She's on trial looking at 12 years in prison for being perfectly legal in our state of Colorado. And it's not federal, it's our state that went after her, and in particular it's Mr. Dan May. Give a shout out to Dan. We've invited him on many times to explain his position. So yeah, everybody should be there. There's going to be birthday cake, and it should be a fun day in the courtroom. Hopefully Elisa gets a nice quick dismissal and we can move on. So there's a lot of stuff in the news over the past few days and the last week about zombies. I got to start there because part of me wants to laugh, but part of me is a little scared by this. You know, today my producer and I, Chris, were sitting around reading all kinds of fun zombie news that's popping up. But, you know, the thing with that is, from the get-go with this story, one of the first articles I read said, you know, he was high on, I believe it was cocaine was the first drug. And
yeah, I think they were saying like it was cocaine or crack.
And then they went and said it was a new batch of acid.
Acid.
Now, I'm going to publicly admit here that I was a kid once, and I did a lot of both, and I think I even said this on Facebook. Never wanted to eat anyone's face. You know, that being said, what I see in this, in the reporting, and it's mostly the mainstream media putting that out there, it's a way to demonize drugs again. It's a way for them to put a little more steam behind their failed war on drugs, if you will. And you know, on the flip side of that, I pulled an article right before the show here that talks about a drug that literally turns people into flesh-eating zombies. And the crazy thing is Chris will agree, you know, it's not PCP, it's not acid, it's not heroin, it's not coke, it's pharmaceuticals.
Yeah, it's pharmaceuticals, or maybe even a mixture of all of the above, you know.
I think the closest might be PCP.
Yeah, that's what I said from the start. The closest drug that this could be is PCP. That's the only drug, even on government websites, that lists this type of behavior as a toxic side effect.
Yeah.
Or
I mean,
toxic dosage of PCP would to be eat your friend's face.
Yeah, instantly when I think of people on PCP, I think of naked people running down the road, and maybe that's a stereotype from what's the movie Friday? You know, Smokey.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, it just reaches beyond the realm of belief for me. It really does.
Yeah, I don't even know what to believe on some of these. It's so crazy. Like, and I don't know if Is it just the media pushing these stories out now because of this one extreme story? Because,
Sure.
I mean, that one story is pretty extreme, and yeah, maybe they're just pushing all these other stories out as they're happening, when before they could have been hidden.
Well, and
or
they
have been hidden.
Well, and they probably put a spin on it, to make it sound zombie-ish.
Well, yeah,
if you
it's
will.
ratings.
So let's get on to something more important. I mean, zombie schmombies, So today I called the DEA. I tried to do our weekly segment of Stickman versus the government, but they were all too busy to return my calls, apparently because they performed the largest drug bust in Colorado history today. Nearly 100 charged. They said they got crack and cocaine and meth and weapons. I'm not a proponent of the drug war. I think our policies failed. I think it's a health issue. But at the same time, we have a DEA. They're doing their job. At least they're out there doing something worthwhile. At least they're not kicking in the door of a dispensary where a sick person gets their medication. I guess there's positive and negative there. You can look at it either way. I think we're going to jump into 64 here in just a minute, but I'm hoping our legalization initiatives here, amendment, when it does become law, which it will, this addresses the feds and lets them know that our attitude here is a little different than the rest of the nation, that we are an educated population and we're done with this whole war. I mean, yes, hard drugs are not good, but at the same time, we're prescribing people an average of 7 prescriptions per day of pharmaceuticals that are killing them, every time they put one in their mouth. So let's do some positive stuff, Mason. The news, we're going to hit on a couple other things later, but let's jump into 64, and let's do it. We have a lot of listeners around the world, so let's, if you're in Iowa and you don't know about 64, give folks a general description.
Sure. Well, Amendment 64 is a constitutional amendment that is on the November ballot here in Colorado that would essentially do 3 things. It would remove the penalties and make it legal for adults 21 and older to possess up to an ounce of marijuana, grow up to 6 plants, and possess the yield of those plants. Those are limits that are basically constitutional floors that you will always be able to possess, and they can be increased through the legislature or through initiative at any time. The second thing it does is it establishes the general framework for a system of regulations similar to what we have for alcohol. So basically what we would have is licensed cultivation facilities, licensed retail stores, licensed product manufacturing, licensed testing facilities, similar to what's going on right now with medical marijuana. But basically we have the opportunity to learn from that and hopefully establish a system that works smoother. Although I got to say, generally speaking, although there's certainly some problems with that implementation and those regulations overall compared to the rest of the country, it's certainly a much better system going on. Anyhow, the third thing that the initiative does is it allows for the cultivation and processing and distribution of industrial hemp. So essentially, this is really an opportunity to end marijuana prohibition and to shift from a model of prohibition to a model of regulation, which is how we treat legal products in this country. There's nothing that's truly legal in every sense of the word. Everything from, cantaloupe, which because of failed regulation killed 30 people in Colorado a year ago or so, to water,
right.
Water to everything is there's some level of regulation, and that's what legal is. So we're doing away with this blanket prohibition and moving on.
Sure. And we had, there's always people who say, it's too much, it's not enough. And we briefly touched on this before the show. The way that I see it, of course, I'm going to publicly say I support every initiative, every amendment. Anything that says legalization has my thumbs up. Mm-hmm. And nothing's ever going to be perfect. I think what I guess what I'm getting at, and you're the expert, with the legislative process, we do have the majority of the nation saying legalization should happen. In recent polls, it's right there, right at the mid-mark. That being said, we're still fighting, in my eyes anyway, a very uphill battle, when winning hearts and minds, if you will. Unfortunately, I come from the Midwest, and we were raised drugs are bad, and all drugs, cannabis included, and it's so ingrained in our culture that cannabis, should be lumped in with heroin and cocaine. I guess what I'm getting at is how do you guys work to get those voters? How do you work to change those minds?
Well, we've really been working on that here in Colorado for a while now, and by that I'm referring to the organization that I run and have run here for the last several years called SAFER, and we've had a very specific message, which is that marijuana is less harmful than alcohol, both for people who use it and for people who don't, because people who drink tend to hurt other people in a lot of cases, and people who use marijuana do not. And this is a message that we've always felt was critical to get people to start thinking about it. We were very in your face about it in a lot of ways, and we still are pushing it very heavily. But what we've seen is a great deal of data showing that the number one indicator of whether or not you think marijuana should be legal is whether or not you think it is less harmful than alcohol. And it's a good frame of reference for a lot of people, because whether they drink or not, and many people, 90% of Americans have drank.
Sure.
Many people, even if they're not drinkers, have friends or family members who are, and they don't think they're criminals. They don't think it should be illegal. They have that frame of reference of prohibition did not work. So by, getting them to just understand we're talking about a less harmful product, it really helps, if not change their mind, it starts to change the conversation and at least neutralize people to some extent. And so we've seen that being very effective, and we're seeing more people reporting that they agree that marijuana is a less harmful substance, and we're seeing more people reporting that they support making marijuana legal.
Sure. I mean, I travel. I go to DC twice a year and do the Overgrow thing there, and I think if you have conversations with most law enforcement nowadays, even a lot of those guys will tell you, if they deal with people on cannabis as opposed to alcohol, they would choose that all day. And they'll tell you it's harmless. I mean, in not so many words. If you ask them how many times do you get a call out just for someone intoxicated on cannabis, it doesn't happen. Now, their neighbor might smell cannabis coming from their apartment door, and then they come kick their door in. That's, a different story. So what do you think, and we're going to take a break in a minute, so we may not be able to get too far into this, but, I personally, with my organization and what I do in life, I admire SAFER because you guys are kind of in your face, and that's, that's what I do. It's common sense, and it's time America and the world just quit holding on to this crap, for lack of a better term. What do you think, when this does pass, will be the reaction from the feds?
Well, all we can do is guess, and there's not really any way of knowing. I mean, 5 years ago, people would have said if you start allowing dispensaries, the feds are going to come and raid them all and batter down their doors. And if you said that there would be a Department of Revenue wing, walking into dispensaries and looking at their marijuana to make sure that it's all being sold right, people would say that's never going to happen. They'll never allow it. And obviously that hasn't been the case because there's been such a shift in attitude. There's been a shift in attitude amongst legislators. It's just... if the entire state votes to pass this, much like when a state votes to pass a medical marijuana law, it sends a very, very strong message. And this would be an even stronger one because it's really takes away the whole argument from the federal government where they say, oh, people are having the wool pulled over their eyes by saying it's medical. They're using sick people to get their agenda. Like, no, this is legitimately people saying we're done with prohibition. We want this to be legal. We want adults to be able to use this, and it's a strong message. So we can, guess. We can guess who the administration is going to be.
Sure.
But in either case, there's no other way to move things forward than to pass laws like this. And, in 1932, Colorado passed a ballot initiative to end alcohol prohibition in the state. And it wasn't until a year later that the federal government ended alcohol prohibition at the federal level. So,
absolutely,
that's what it's going to take. And we now have 16 states plus D.C.
Well, and it was an outcrying. Prohibition was an outcrying from so many people. And we're seeing that now. Churches, women, we're big in ending that. Just we've got Pat Robertson.
We've got Robertson. Yeah. But look, and we've got Howard Stern, the dynamic duo. But like when you look at the coalition that's on board already, and it's still very early with the initiative here in Colorado. We've got the head of the Colorado NAACP. We've got the ACLU. We've got criminal justice reform organizations. We've got the president of the largest union, labor, involved. So it's really pretty broad, and it really makes it a lot more exciting.
Absolutely. Well, Mason, we're going to try to keep you around. You got like 15 more minutes to kill, but right now we got to pay some bills. We'll be right back on Overgrow the Radio.
Let's face it, rules and regulations are complicated, especially in the field of medical marijuana. Let Medical Marijuana 101 help you get through the compliance process. We can also explain to you your employment requirements, your employees, and your business. But our work doesn't stop there. Our experience in cultivation ranges from the design of grow rooms to the diagnosis and resolution of grow problems. Visit us at www.medicalmarijuana101.com or call 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188.
Hi, I'm Josh Stanley.
And I'm Jesse Stanley.
Two of the brothers here from National Geographic's American Weed, and we'd like to invite you to come into our dispensaries in Colorado Springs. Come in for the most pure organic strain selection in Colorado. It's all hand-grown by the Stanley brothers, especially for our patients. So come in and visit us at our two locations, East Platte and West Colorado. And remember,
always be kind to each other.
The law offices of Edson, Mayton, and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188. Or visit us online at warrenedson.com.
Are you a medical marijuana patient or interested in finding out how to become one? Contact Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. Conveniently located on Hamden and Tamarack in the Whole Foods parking lot behind Proof of the Pudding. Mile High Wellness offers a wide variety of edibles, hashes, and some of Colorado's top strains. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. 3525 South Tamarack, Suite 110, on the corner of Hamden and Tamarack. 720-382-8516. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern.
Are you a runner? Are you a runner who supports marijuana legalization? Run on Grass is a group of athletes actively seeking to change our marijuana laws. We speak the truth about cannabis, bringing the message through our feet to new ears. Check out runongrass.com to find out more about us, our events, and how to join up or how to sponsor a runner. If you're in the Denver area, please join us for runs or start a group in your area. Running not your thing? Any sport can do it. On grass. Runongrass.com.
Dear Mom, when I was in college, I used to drink a lot. It was kind of crazy. But now that I'm older, I prefer to use marijuana. It's less harmful to my body, I don't get hungover, and honestly, I feel safer around marijuana users. I hope this makes sense, but if not, let's talk. I love you.
Hi, Josh Stanley here from National Geographic's American Weed. I'm here with my brothers, and we've just recently put together a foundation in Colorado to allow for cancer patients and other patients of debilitating conditions to be able to get a hold of cannabis-based oil that's just about free of charge. I've just about had it with seeing sick patients suffer needlessly just because they can't afford the proper medication. That's what the Realm of Caring is going to change. Visit therealmofcaring.com. The website will be complete and up on 4/20 of 2012. But until then, please contact any of us Stanley brothers directly through email. You can get us at gratefuljosh@hotmail.com. Now come on, Colorado. We need to take care of each other. Join the Realm. That's realmofcaring.com. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Rick Cusick from High Times Magazine, and you're listening to Cannabis Radio.
What's up, Colorado? This is J-Dub.
And this is Dust. We're the Weed Pimps.
That's right. Come on down to our warehouse at 62A Mount View Lane, Colorado Springs, Colorado, 80907. Any day of the week, anytime, and we will show you glass blowing, screen printing, and everything we do at the Weed Pimp warehouse.
That's right. You can get your custom screen print. We also do rush orders. If you need a heat press, we can get that done.
That's right. Also check out our mobile advertising. In the meantime, get with us on Weed Pimp Clothing on Facebook
and on the YouTube channel,
WPTVJDub.
And if you need to get a hold of us at our warehouse, the phone number is
913-484-4550,
719-684-5793.
Ladies of Colorado, we've kept you in mind. Look out for our full line of
The Ganja Girl. That's right. If you want to look fly, make sure you get your smoking gear.
Weed Pimp Clothing, ladies first.
Ganja Girl approved.
Ganja Girl approved.
When I can see myself, I can talk, and we're back on Overgrow the Radio. Yeah, that was the Weed Pimps, one of our faithful sponsors, and their Ganja Girl Weed Pimp line of clothing. We're back with Mason. We're gonna jump back in. We were talking about a few different topics about 64, but before I forget, I want to kind of jump ahead and then maybe digress again. You guys obviously blew your signature drive out of the water. They came back and said
it got a little scary.
Right.
They were pretty abundantly strict, and I think that we probably could have challenged the state on some of the stuff they threw out. But yes, I mean, ultimately,
what exactly, for folks that don't know, what exactly happened there? I mean, they claimed 3,000 were invalid.
Like 89,000.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, this was definitely, from others I've spoken to, and based on my experience, the most stringent they've been, but that suggests that they did it all correctly. And, ultimately we wanted to just make sure we were on the ballot, so we went in and looked at some of the stuff that they did just to check it out. And we probably would have been able to challenge some of it. I mean, they did things like throw out entire packets, and that's where you really get hurt. You got 50 signatures in a section, and if you have something wrong with the affidavit in the back, they throw out all those signatures. So, I mean, they were doing stuff like throwing them out because a notary wrote the date as 5:30, or like 5:30 for May 31st, and they were like, whoops, it's not the 30th, it's the 31st, and they like they turned the 0 into a 1.
Sure.
Thrown out.
Well, I think, you can point to Bob Krause's case for that. Difference in addresses is really why he's sitting on trial right now. Unfortunately, sometimes it comes down to just that little dot in the I's and crossing the T's. So what can folks do at this point? I mean, we're on the ballot. The signature part's done. What can they do to still help out and get the word out?
Well, it comes back to what we were talking about earlier when you mentioned what we need to do to get more people to come around. And right now enough people have come around, and as you mentioned, we see polling that says majority now supports this, but that's a majority supports answering a question that's asked to them without any consequence. So we need people to be comfortable. So what we're really doing is pushing a lot of interpersonal communication. We've launched a whole campaign called talkitupcolorado.org, which is based around that website. And the entire thing is really based around getting people to talk to those they know, both those they know who are in agreement and people who are still concerned about allowing marijuana for adults, and getting them to just say, listen, I support this. I hope you will too. Telling their grandparents, hey, I'm your grandson. You obviously trust me. You know that I wouldn't, do something like crazy. And here's the deal. Like, I'm just letting you know that this is why I support this. And that's a really good way to get people thinking about it. And even if it doesn't change their mind, it'll make them think again. And then, of course, reaffirming for people that it's okay to vote for this, and letting them know, hey, I'm going to vote for that. And they might be thinking, oh, I'm not sure. And when you say, oh, no, like, why would you not? I mean, we've smoked together. Like, why, and then just making them really think, well, hey, my friends are going to vote for this. My political party, if you're a Democrat, says they support this. And really just getting them to be comfortable with pulling the trigger. So we want people to check that out, talkitupcolorado.org. There's ways to share stuff online, going door to door, making phone calls here soon. We're trying to set up, so lots of ways to help.
Yeah, I like to put stickers on my coffee mugs, so when I'm in line at the coffee shop, people like to question me.
The next time I'm here, I will bring you a sticker.
Awesome.
Unless it's like...
Well, I've got a whole big roll of the MPP ones. Yeah. But the other ones I'm a little low on. If you could track some of those down.
We'll have Yes on 64 ones here.
So I've got one more subject I want to get into real quick before you have to go, and that's... with legalization, there's so many benefits to the economy, to, not locking people up for a plant, that type of thing. Yeah. Right. That being said, I think what a lot of the population here in Colorado and across the country doesn't realize is if I want to go smoke cannabis, it's there.
You already can, exactly.
I mean, it's there. What this is a matter of where that money's going. Do we want that money to go back into our economy, or do we want it to go south of the border so the Escobars or whoever can buy more motorcycles and army men to blow up, the army? What we also need to realize is by legalizing, we are saving tens of thousands of lives. Mostly, the violence is out of our sight, out of our mind, because it happens just south of the border. But we feed that violence. It's our appetite for the drugs, and not just cannabis, but drugs in general, that feed this violence. 60% of the drugs, 60% of the cartel's business is cannabis. That being said, we can cut out at least 60% of the violence. I believe something like 40,000 people have died in the last 3 or 4 years on the border. That's got to end. I mean, is that a big goal for you guys too, is ending that?
Yeah, I mean, and you're absolutely right that there are so many compelling reasons to change the way we're doing things, whether it's making marijuana less accessible to young people, whether it's, actually being honest about drugs and making sure people understand the differences between them, whether it's reducing gang violence or cartel violence, raising money, creating jobs, these are all great reasons. Reversing the disproportionate impact we're having on communities of color. I mean, there's just, it goes on and on and on. There's only so many messages you can convey, and then there's only so many messages that actually can get people to change their minds. And so right now, if, someone thinks that their kid seeing or using marijuana or seeing it in a store, that's going to ruin their life or that's going to kill them, telling them we can make some money off of it for the economy isn't really going to do them a whole lot. They're going to say, well, of course we could, but we could also make money selling heroin. And so it's, if they already understand that marijuana is not a big deal, it's not that harmful, it's far less harmful now, then all of a sudden plant. You can say, yeah, we could be generating tax revenue, and they say, well, yeah, that makes sense because, and so we really need to get at that fundamental thing and really talk about the fact that, this is marijuana. This is not.
Well, and I'm not one to point fingers, but something I like to do there is point the finger at the pharmaceutical companies and educate folks on that. Here we are, literally, we average 7 prescriptions per American citizen now. All of these are toxic. They're all eating away at your body. There's not one
cause of
pill out
accidental
there.
death in the state of Colorado.
Absolutely, and with cannabis, you cannot overdose. No one's ever died recorded death in 10,000 years of use. What people need to realize, and I repeat this once in a while, is that until the 30s, cannabis or hemp was 85% of everything. That's food, that's medicine, that's clothing. And the way we're going, man, legalization both of industrial hemp and cannabis is really our lifeline. Mm-hmm. I give you guys kudos. I will support you guys in any way we can here at the radio station. We'd love to have you back on a few times, obviously. I think you're going to be on one of our new shows here pretty soon as well. So thank you very much for coming in, and we'll get you out of here.
Really appreciate you having me.
Any other websites we should know about real quick?
Well, regulatemarijuana.org if you want to read the initiative or sign up to be a part of the campaign. And then if you want to start taking action and getting involved, talkitupcolorado.org.
Right on, Mason. Again, thanks a lot for all you guys are doing, and in a few months we'll be legal. All right, we're going to cut away one more time for commercial and come back with our mystery guest, Bud. All right, stay with us.
Hi, I'm Josh Stanley.
And I'm Jesse Stanley.
Two of the brothers here from National Geographic's American Weed, and we'd like to invite you to come into our dispensaries in Colorado Springs. Come in for the most pure organic strain selection in Colorado. It's all hand-grown by the Stanley brothers, especially for our patients. So come in and visit us at our two locations, East Platte and West Colorado. And remember,
always be kind to each other.
Are you a medical marijuana patient or interested in finding out how to become one? Contact Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. Conveniently located on Hamden and Tamarack in the Whole Foods parking lot behind Proof of the Pudding. Mile High Wellness offers a wide variety of edibles, hashes, and some of Colorado's top strains. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. 3525 South Tamarack, Suite 110, on the corner of Hamden and Tamarack. 720-382-8516. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern.
What's up, Colorado? This is J-Dub.
And this is Dust. We're the Weed Pimps.
That's right. Come on down to our warehouse at 62A Mount View Lane, Colorado Springs, Colorado, 80907. Any day of the week, anytime. And we will show you glass blowing, screen printing, and everything we do at the Weed Pimp warehouse.
That's right. You can get your custom screen print. We also do rush orders. If you need a heat press, we can get that done.
That's right. Also check out our mobile advertising. In the meantime, get with us on Weed Pimp Clothing on Facebook
and on the YouTube channel,
WPTVJDub.
And if you need to get a hold of us at our warehouse, the phone number is
913-484-4550,
719-684-5793.
Ladies of Colorado, we've kept you in mind. Look out for our full line of
The Ganja Girl. That's right. If you want to look fly, make sure you get your smoking gear.
Weed Pimp Clothing. Ladies first.
Ganja Girl approved.
Ganja Girl approved.
Hi, Josh Stanley here from National Geographic's American Weed. I'm here with my brothers, and we've just recently put together a foundation in Colorado to allow for cancer patients and other patients of debilitating conditions to be able to get a hold of cannabis-based oil that's just about free of charge. I've just about had it with seeing sick patients suffer needlessly just because they can't afford the proper medication. That's what the Realm of Caring is going to change. Visit therealmofcaring.com. The website will be complete and up on 4/20 of 2012. But until then, please contact any of us Stanley brothers directly through email. You can get us at gratefuljosh@hotmail.com. Now come on, Colorado. We need to take care of each other. Join the Realm. That's realmofcaring.com. Thank you so much.
Are you a runner? Are you a runner who supports marijuana legalization? Run on Grass is a group of athletes actively seeking to change our marijuana laws. We speak the truth about cannabis, bringing the message through our feet to new ears. Check out runongrass.com to find out more about us, our events, and how to join up or how to sponsor a runner. If you're in the Denver area, please join us for runs or start a group in your area. Running not your thing? Any sport can do it. On grass. Runongrass.com.
The law offices of Edson, Maton, and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188. Or visit us online at warrenedson.com.
And we're back. Wow, that's like some funky zombie alien crazy music my producer's kicking over there. Actually, it's a little housey. Brings back some memories. It's kind of lonely in here tonight, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a little bit. It's different. I'm happening to pick up the slack.
I know. I can't talk
that's
for
all right.
2 hours. It's hard. I mean, I can't ramble at all. So I want to welcome our next guest. We're going to call our next guest Bud. Bud is a friend of mine and also an attorney that's been pretty heavily involved for quite some time in MMJ laws, regulation, that type of thing. So, hey, Bud, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Uh-oh, I think Bud's volume's a little low. Let's try that again.
Wrong one.
We'll get the right mic on in a second.
Am I better now?
Yeah, you're better now. I can hear you now. I can hear you. So, as I start with everyone, and you're anonymous for a reason, and that's immaterial, but I'd like to know, and our listeners would like to know, like, where your background comes from. You obviously practice law, what got you into cannabis law, and where that transition played in, where your passion came from.
Well, it actually, I got involved kind of by accident. My background as far as what I do for a law practice, or did for a law practice, was business law and real estate. I was actually listening to the radio one time when I was driving through town and found out that they were putting together a task force to help put together rules and regulations for several of the communities here in Colorado. And so I applied and got appointed to the task force, and strictly, kind of as an advisor in land use issues, zoning, planning, how do you regulate this? And as things went along, I wound up meeting a number of patients, and that really swayed it for me. I met people that I felt were getting a real benefit from being able to use cannabis to deal with whatever condition that they had, as opposed to swimming in pharmaceuticals, and it just really turned the tide for me. And once I saw what it did, it became a passion for me. And what's evolved is I wind up representing a number of centers. I help them with their business matters. I help them with their regulatory matters, and try and make sure that they stay legal so that they can stay open and the patients can get the medicine that they need. Absolutely.
Well, I think that's key, and I think we fight a constant battle, especially down my way in El Paso County. There's areas of Colorado that are still playing catch up, and we're definitely one of them as far as that goes. I really want to jump in with you. You've seen the industry in Colorado kind of blossom and develop, if you will. I guess my next question along the lines of our conversation is, do you think we're headed in the right direction? Since you first came aboard on your original committee, do you think that we are headed in the right direction as a state, as the regulations and things unfold?
Well, that's a tough question to answer, because when I first started, we were still under what we call the caregiver model. House Bill 1284 had not been passed yet, which is now the Colorado Medical Marijuana Code. They were arguing about how to regulate the industry at the state level, and one of the things that they were faced with was the industry had already started, and it started in a particular way, and then they wanted it to change course and start doing things completely different. To answer your question, are we headed in the right direction? Probably, but I'm saying that with some degree of hesitation, because there were a number of the regulations that ultimately passed that I looked at and I saw really no need for. There were several things that happened that I looked at and said, well, there's another way to do this that would be a lot easier. And they listened to me and then promptly did whatever they wanted to.
Sure. I mean, I think, and I've said it before, I think regulation's good. I think it actually adds a layer of protection, or in theory does, when you're tied in with the state, when you're regulated through the state. I agree that 1284 in a lot of ways goes extremely too far. We're spending money we don't have. We see what's happening with MMED, going broke and trying to get money from other avenues that they shouldn't be. I guess, if there was such a thing, if you were an advisor to what's going on now, where do you think personally, where do you see from a legal standpoint where we need to change our direction? What are the key points that we're doing wrong as a state?
Well, again, it's a difficult question. We've started down this road, and one of the things that I fought against was the idea of vertical integration. My idea of the way the industry was being operated under the old caregiver model is that you had growers that were growing and you had dispensaries that were selling. And that seemed to make sense. The state decided that they were going to have this vertical integration where a center had to sell or had to produce at least 70% of what they sell. I'm still not sold on that idea. I think it, at least in my experience, it forced a lot of shotgun marriages, a lot of wasted money and emotions and energy, making people to get together that didn't necessarily need to be together.
Well, and what would happen, talk about overregulation, what would happen if they went into all the greenhouses and said, okay, you have to grow 70% of your flowers? Again, it's shooting ourselves in the foot. We're just losing money.
The example that I used is, do you have any idea how messed up a restaurant would be is if they had to produce 70% of everything that they sold?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they'd have to have a cattle feed lot, they'd have to have a slaughterhouse, they'd have to have butchers. It just didn't make sense to me.
Sure.
And they were doing it under the guise of, well, we have to regulate this and we have to be able to track the product.
Sure.
Well, I think you could still track the product if you still had independent growers. So I'm still not convinced that vertical integration is the right way to go. But the fact of the matter is that I'm forced to deal with what is, not what I'd like it to be. So what I'm seeing, and it continues to amaze me, is that no matter what hurdles you put in front of the people that are in this industry, they figure out a way to make it work.
Sure.
The resilience of the people that I have seen, that they don't have a safety net. They've got every dime that they've got invested in this, and cross their fingers and hope like hell that tomorrow the Med isn't going to change the rules again. And a lot of these people, they've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to be compliant. And they just keep, tell us what the rules is. We'll jump through the hoop because they want to be legitimate.
And we're going to get into it a little bit more probably after the break. A theory of mine with this, and sometimes I may be a bit of a conspiracy theory. You know what I meant to say there. Got tongue-tied. I almost feel like there's some federal intervention there. That all of these regulations and draining all of this money out of the industry, that there may be a point behind that. Because really the lifeline of our industry in every medical state is activism. Activism is fed by donations. If there's no money in the industry to donate, activism takes a hit. You're very correct in saying, Colorado, we're very resilient. I think the feds are really seeing that right now. You can take all our money. You can charge all these fees at the state, at the federal level, whatever you want to do, and we're going to find a way. I think we take a lot of pride here, as I said earlier. We're a state with common sense. We look at the facts. The facts are out there. Cannabis is a non-toxic plant. Some of the nation is still treating it like they did in the 30s, like you're going to run off and sleep with a jazz musician if you smoke it. So, it's really, it pains me to see the fight we're going through, but I also have a huge sense of pride in where we're at in this fight as a state. I think we're going to take a break in like 2 minutes, but when we come back, we're going to talk. Our next guest is Jody Emery, and having you on is a good night. Her husband, Marc, is actually sitting in one of our federal prisons right now. The kicker to that story is that he's a Canadian citizen. We're going to go into much more detail at the top of the hour. But for now, we're going to cut away, and then we're going to come back and talk a little bit more with Bud about the feds and about the intervention here in Colorado. So hang out with us here on Overgrow the Radio. Peace.
Are you a runner? Are you a runner who supports marijuana legalization? Run on Grass is a group of athletes actively seeking to change our marijuana laws. We speak the truth about cannabis, bringing the message through our feet to new ears. Check out runongrass.com to find out more about us, our events, and how to join up or how to sponsor a runner. If you're in the Denver area, please join us for runs or start a group in your area. Running not your thing? Any sport can do it on grass. Runongrass.com.
What's up, Colorado? This is J-Dub. And this is Dust. We're the Weed Pimps. That's right. Come on down to our warehouse at 62A Mount View Lane. Colorado Springs, Colorado, 80907. Any day of the week, anytime, and we will show you glass blowing, screen printing, and everything we do at the Weed Pimp Warehouse.
That's right, you can get your custom screen print. We also do rush orders. If you need a heat press, we can get that done.
That's right. Also check out our mobile advertising. In the meantime, get with us on Weed Pimp Clothing on Facebook
and on the YouTube channel,
WPTVJDub.
And if you need to get a hold of us at our warehouse, the phone number is
913-484-4550,
719-684-5793.
Ladies of Colorado, we've kept you in mind. Look out for our full line of
The Ganja Girl. That's right. If you want to look fly, make sure you get your smoking gear.
Weed Pimp Clothing, ladies first.
Ganja Girl approved.
Ganja Girl approved.
Are you a medical marijuana patient or interested in finding out how to become one? Contact Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. Conveniently located on Hamden and Tamarack in the Whole Foods parking lot behind Proof of the Pudding. Mile High Wellness offers a wide variety of edibles, hashes, and some of Colorado's top strains. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. 3525 South Tamarack, Suite 110, on the corner of Hamden and Tamarack. 720-382-8516. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern.
Hi, Josh Stanley here from National Geographic's American Weed. I'm here with my brothers, and we've just recently put together a foundation in Colorado to allow for cancer patients and other patients of debilitating conditions to be able to get a hold of cannabis-based oil that's just about free of charge. I've just about had it with seeing sick patients suffer needlessly just because they can't afford the proper medication. That's what the Realm of Caring is going to change. Visit therealmofcaring.com. The website will be complete and up on 4/20 of 2012. But until then, please contact any of us Stanley brothers directly through email. You can get us at gratefuljosh@hotmail.com. Now come on, Colorado. We need to take care of each other. Join the Realm. That's realmofcaring.com. Thank you so much.
The law offices of Edson, Maton, and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188. Or visit us online at warrenedson.com.
Hi, I'm Josh Stanley.
And I'm Jesse Stanley.
Two of the brothers here from National Geographic's American Weed, and we'd like to invite you to come into our dispensaries in Colorado Springs. Come in for the most pure organic strain selection in Colorado. It's all hand-grown by the Stanley brothers, especially for our patients. So come in and visit us at our two locations, East Platte and West Colorado. And remember,
always be kind to each other.
Hi, I'm Rick Cusick from High Times Magazine, and you're listening to Cannabis Radio.
Cannabis Radio, right here. We're back with Overgrow the Radio. This is Stickman, and I'm here with my mystery guest of the night, Bud. Hey, Bud.
Yes.
And Mr. Custer hiding in the corner, working hard, playing music.
Yeah, working hard.
Yeah, and my internet's not working, so I don't know if we're live or not. But
you're live.
Okay, I'm just going to take your word for it.
No, we're a zombie cast right now.
Ooh, sweet. Just don't eat my face. I mean, you know, I could probably spare a finger or two, but...
No, you don't have enough meat on your bones.
Been accused of that a time or two.
Hence the stick man.
Hey, all right. So, Bud, let's jump back in. You know, I think we both agree that regulation's a good thing, and we do have that layer of protection. But what we've seen recently, I have my own interpretation of what's going on, but I want to get yours. The feds, you know, a few months ago, and another wave just came out, and they're talking about another wave even of these letters, you know, declaring school zones, and, you know, you have to shut down if you're within 1,000 feet. The thing with that and the layer of protection is I believe these places are already grandfathered in, the ones that were still open, under our state law. So does that not, first off, does that not add even another layer of protection with the state?
Well, I mean, the federal law is going to trump the state law in this particular instance. my personal opinion is that the feds are getting political pressure from somewhere to do something. The 1,000 feet from a school, that falls under the federal Drug-Free School Zone Act.
Sure.
And almost every state has enacted a version of that's a state law as well. Technically, I guess the feds could come down and close down every center if they wanted to. They've elected to be kind of selective about what they're doing. They picked the ones that, unfortunately were closest to schools. I don't know why the uproar about that. I mean, I haven't heard about a grade schooler strolling into a center with a locked front door and being influenced or being able to purchase medicine. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but they do have the law on the books. It's been on the books since, I believe, the 60s or 70s. So it's been there for a long time, and they've elected to enforce that as to medical marijuana centers in Colorado. It becomes if you think about it, it becomes a very effective tool for them, because all they have to do is send out a letter and they get immediate compliance. I mean, between the first and second rounds, they closed 50 places, and they didn't have to send a single officer into the field. All they had to do was send the letters out.
Well, and it's very much a bully position. I mean, if they can do that, and these people as business owners, I mean, it makes no sense for them to fight it. It's much easier just to move locations.
Absolutely. I mean, fighting it would be very, very difficult given the current state of the law.
Sure.
Now, having said that, I'm not going to tell you that I'm going to sit here and say I agree with it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it's the right thing. I've got my own personal opinion about the way the thing should work, but like I said before, I got to deal with what is, and the fact of the matter is that there is a federal law that they are entitled to enforce if they want to, and I'm not saying it's the right thing. I'm just saying that,
Well, and I'll jump in there and I'll call out the hypocrisy of if we're going to enforce a 1,000-foot rule on a plant that's never killed anyone, why in the hell are we not enforcing it on liquor stores and pharmacies? We look at the trends. I mean, the mainstream media even reports on it. Pharmaceutical deaths going up constantly. Alcohol abuse in so many different forms. On a side note on alcohol, my other half actually shared this article with me about, and I don't remember the name of it, extreme drinking, where people are literally taking tampons and suppositories and putting alcohol in them and inserting them in themselves to get drunker. We live in a society where things like these things are going on, and we're worried about cannabis. Is it just me, or is that completely ass backwards?
It is ass backwards. I will agree with you. I mean, there are a host of greater evils that we could be spending our resources trying to address than medical marijuana. Plain and simple. There are a lot of things that are going on that are legal, technically legal, that are a lot harder on your body. And they will,
sure.
Until the stigma that's associated with marijuana is removed, you're going to be faced with that. And the only way that I know how to do that is to continue to educate people.
Well, and that's what I talked with Mason about before is the education factor. There's still, whether the polls show people in favor of legalization or not, there's still the stigma where folks won't publicly come out and support things. And what we need is the 50% of the population who says it's okay for it to be legal to be you and I and be out there in the stores and at their groups and wherever they are telling people, this is harmless, this is ridiculous.
Well, and I think you've seen with the industry now, if you look at the way it's grown up, if you look at all the regulations that they've thrown at everybody is trying to comply, at least the ones that are trying to make a go of it, a legitimate go of it, are trying to make it work. And the number of complaints that you hear from neighborhoods or other business owners or whatever are virtually nil. And so what you're finding out is that the industry as it stands right now is pretty benign. It fits well into pretty much any community. The people that run the stores take pride in what they're doing. The people that run the grows take pride in what they're doing. They're not out flaunting it. They're not out causing problems. They're not selling it to anyone who doesn't have a registration card. I think what you're seeing is that they're proving themselves slowly but surely every day. They're proving themselves that, yep, we're a legitimate business. We're selling a legitimate product to a legitimate set of people who really need it, and we're not harming anybody.
Well, and I think that also helps in medical states where more people choose cannabis as medication. Then people tend to see them, the people in their life, their grandmas, their aunts, their uncles, their sons, their daughters, whatever the case may be. You know, they see the difference that it makes. They see what it does for their health, or, you know, even in the end of someone's life, what it does to ease them into that transition to death. I think that takes away a lot of the stigma. I think that, you know, I know people that were in my life after my back surgery could definitely see a difference night and day between pharmaceuticals and cannabis. You know, on pharmaceuticals, I was a zombie. I slept all day. On cannabis, I manage a radio station. I host a radio show, you know. I'm able to get off the couch for a little bit. And sure, I'm still, you know, I don't work full time. I'm not able to get to that level, but I am able to sustain, and I'm able to do more than just lay around and wait to die. I think, unfortunately, in our society, when you're sick or you're disabled, the status quo is that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to lay around and pop pills all day and wait for your day.
Yeah, and that, like I said when we first started, is that the patience is what really turned it around for me. And, you know, I don't care how you manage your pain. That's not my business. You know, I don't care how you manage your condition. But if it responds well to medical marijuana, then I think you ought to be able to use it. And I think that, you know, again, the patients have a role. They're going to have to use their product responsibly. But I think, once again, it's like alcohol in Europe. They have a lot lower alcoholism rates because they've removed the not the stigma, but the beauty of it, or the thrill of it. Everybody drinks, so it's no big deal.
Right.
And so if you start to see our kids being raised around responsible use of that, it's not going to be any different. And your parents have the same responsibility. Yeah, you don't use meth. No, you don't use this if you're not supposed to. You don't pop Quaaludes. You don't. There's a lot of things that you don't do. And as long as you do it responsibly, then it's your body, it's your problem.
Absolutely. As long as you're not affecting anyone else, who's to tell us what we do?
Well, and the other thing is, the things that I've seen with patients is that just because they've been diagnosed with, in a lot of instances, it's a terminal condition or one that could cause a disability, they still have a lot to offer.
Sure.
And and I
great
don't
minds.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And maybe locked up in one of those great minds is the next step towards the cure of cancer.
Absolutely.
Maybe locked up in one of those great minds is a great book or a movie or something.
And when we keep patients and sick people couch locked on pharmaceuticals, those great minds are trapped in that couch lock.
We've lost
Absolutely.
it, and we'll never get it back.
And personally, I'm lucky. I saw that right away and realized it wasn't a path I wanted to go down. But unfortunately, it's not the trend in society. I fight every day to change that, and I know you do too. Bud, we want to have you back on. We're actually going to keep you around, I think. We're going to come back after our break and call Jody, as I mentioned, and get into her husband's ordeal and talk to Jody about her activism, because she's continuing Marc's fight. So we're going to probably take like a 5 to 10 minute break, but you guys will definitely want to stick around, enjoy some music, hang out, and come back and talk to Miss Emery with us. We love you here at Overgrow the Radio. Stay with us.
You're listening to iCannabisRadio.com.
What's up, Colorado? This is J-Dub.
And this is Dust, we're the Weed Pimps.
That's right. Come on down to our warehouse at 62A Mount View Lane. Colorado Springs, Colorado, 80907. Any day of the week, anytime, and we will show you glass blowing, screen printing, and everything we do at the Weed Pimp Warehouse.
That's right, you can get your custom screen print. We also do rush orders. If you need a heat press, we can get that done.
That's right. Also check out our mobile advertising. In the meantime, get with us on Weed Pimp Clothing on Facebook
and on the YouTube channel,
WPTVJDub.
And if you need to get a hold of us at our warehouse, the phone number is
913-484-4550,
719-684-5793.
Ladies of Colorado, we've kept you in mind. Look out for our full line of
The Ganja Girl. That's right. If you want to look fly, make sure you get your smoking gear.
Weed Pimp Clothing, ladies first.
Ganja Girl approved.
Ganja Girl approved.
Are you a runner? Are you a runner who supports marijuana legalization? Run on Grass is a group of athletes actively seeking to change our marijuana laws. We speak the truth about cannabis, bringing the message through our feet to new ears. Check out runongrass.com to find out more about us, our events, and how to join up or how to sponsor a runner. If you're in the Denver area, please join us for runs or start a group in your area. Running not your thing? Any sport can do it on grass. Runongrass.com.
The law offices of Edson, Maton, and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188. Or visit us online at warrenedson.com.
Are you a medical marijuana patient or interested in finding out how to become one? Contact Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. Conveniently located on Hamden and Tamarack in the Whole Foods parking lot behind Proof of the Pudding. Mile High Wellness offers a wide variety of edibles, hashes, and some of Colorado's top strains. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. 3525 South Tamarack, Suite 110, on the corner of Hamden and Tamarack. 720-382-8516. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern.
Hi, I'm Josh Stanley.
And I'm Jesse Stanley.
Two of the brothers here from National Geographic's American Weed, and we'd like to invite you to come into our dispensaries in Colorado Springs. Come in for the most pure organic strain selection in Colorado. It's all hand-grown by the Stanley brothers, especially for our patients. So come in and visit us at our two locations, East Platte and West Colorado. And remember,
always be kind to each other.
And we're back here on Overgrow the Radio. I had no music, man. You screwed
me
all up.
That's why I said it
popped
out of there.
It's all good. We're going to get Jody Emery on the phone and chat with her. Right now, I want to talk about our sponsors a little bit. We usually do it at the end, but we'll put it ahead. We got SoCo MMJ, The Realm of Caring, The Indispensary, Green Monster Glass, and Weed Pimps. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, he is.
Hey, is this Jody?
Nope, this is Todd.
Sorry.
We're going to try this again.
Wrong number, bud. Sorry, bud.
Well, you got the right number just a minute early.
Yep, sorry.
Yep. We'll be right back with
We'll call you back in a minute.
Right on. So I'm going to continue to talk while we're dialing up Jody's number. The Realm of Caring is a great organization. If you haven't visited their new website, do so. Also, if you are a dispensary, if you know someone who owns a dispensary, if you're friends with someone, encourage them to get involved by donating trim. I encourage everyone to get involved by spreading the word. They're helping cancer patients daily. Also, I've got to talk about this company, iPuff.com. This is a vaporizer that I use frequently that I'm able to load with my own hash oil. It actually measures your dosage. Comes with a handy-dandy little case and charger and all that fun stuff. And we lost our phone number, so I'm going to give my producer the right phone number here real quick, maybe.
Yeah, I think I wrote them down, the area code, the same number for both of them, though.
It's all good, man. I got you.
Yeah.
It's coming at you right now. It's right under her name there on the telephone.
Okay.
So we've been talking a lot about the DEA, and I'm just going to lead into Mrs. Emery's phone interview. on that I'm really appalled. I've been appalled since this happened that we're spending the money to extradite Canadian citizens overseas. We spent millions, we spent years, and countless bodies and resources on this, on putting her husband in our prison. What people don't realize is we pay for that.
Hello.
Hey, Jody, how are you? This is Stickman.
Good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How are things up in Canada?
Oh, well, just getting back into the swing of things after a long weekend at the Treating Yourself Expo, but got lots of work as always, so no time to sit back and rest.
God, I feel you. I would love a weekend off just to hang out and do nothing. Just doesn't happen. So I was kind of briefly introducing you there because we actually dialed our next guest a little early on accident. So I'm going to let you kind of jump in. First off, I want to thank you for coming on and give you kudos for continuing Marc's fight. A lot of folks, we've seen like once they have issues, they step back, and that you, on the other hand, did quite the opposite. You stepped up and stepped right into what Marc was doing. So thank you for that, and I admire that.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, Marc has done far more than I've done. Certainly been a lot braver and taken far more risks. I'm just trying to maintain what he's established and created while he's away, and he's always been very supportive and encouraging for me, to encourage me to grow into my own. And we both know that him being forced away in U.S. prison has, in some ways, in many ways really, only made us both a lot stronger.
Sure, absolutely. We were just talking with our last guest. I have an anonymous attorney friend that is going to come on from time to time about resilience, and that's why we will eventually win this war, is the resilience. We show it a lot here in Colorado. I want to digress back to the beginning because I have watched a couple of your guys' documentaries that are out and read, quite a few articles over the years. Marc actually started out, I believe, did he not? It was through a bookstore, and he challenged censorship laws in Canada?
Yeah, well, Marc was born in London, Ontario, and he started a bookstore when he was just still in high school and was always very interested in liberty issues. He actually read Ayn Rand's books and became very inspired in the idea of an individual having the power to do good. So he also discovered, he had radio shows at this time, and he had discovered that music by Two Live Crew, the rap group, was banned in Canada. So he got music from Detroit and brought it up into Canada and took ads in the newspaper saying that he was going to be openly breaking the law and asking the police to come down and arrest him if they dared to, and take him to court so he could challenge these laws against obscenity or rap music. And sure enough, that's what happened. He went to court and he helped overturn the laws against obscene music in Canada, and that also went for any obscene literature, anything deemed inappropriate. He fought for the right for people to have whatever they want. And while he was running a radio show in Ontario, he had Jello Biafra on, the Dead Kennedys, and liked his segment that he had made called Grow More Pot, which was based on Jack Herrera's The Emperor Wears No Clothes. That book was not available in Canada. In fact, it was completely illegal in Canada because Marc discovered that there were laws prohibiting any literature, any written word or documentation of marijuana. So he decided to bring that book up into Canada, as well as High Times magazine, which was also illegal. And he sold it the same way he did with the music and dared the police to come arrest him so he could challenge those laws in court. That eventually did happen with another seller of the books because the police got very aware of Marc's ways of bringing attention to an issue. So they didn't get him on that, but he also used civil disobedience to overturn the ban on Sunday shopping. It used to be illegal to shop or open a store on Sundays, and he helped overturn that. People can read all about these things that Marc has done for liberty before marijuana activism just by reading his Wikipedia page. If you Google Marc Emery, you'll be able to find that. But he also discovered that, marijuana prohibition had led to paraphernalia, pipes, bongs, and all that being illegal and unavailable across Canada as well. So in 1994, Marc moved to Vancouver and opened up a store called Hemp BC, and he started selling pipes and bongs and all the things that people were no longer able to get, and started wholesaling that to stores all across Canada. Other people would open stores and he would provide them with the stock. He also started publishing the Marijuana and Hemp newsletter, which was printed on hemp paper, in order to educate people with a magazine that was now legal and still even challenged on legality in Canada. He also started selling marijuana seeds. He started Marc Emery Direct Seeds and promised to use all the money for legalization efforts. And one of the biggest accomplishments he's had was giving $10,000 to Colorado for their medical marijuana law, the initiative when it was being looked at. And so he helped support even that, as well as others, as Washington, D.C. and Nevada. He gave millions of dollars away over a decade of seed selling to various causes, marijuana parties across the United States and even around the world, ballot initiative reforms, presidential campaigns, medical marijuana license holders who went to court, and also compassion clubs and big-name marijuana activists and medical marijuana activists. Marc gave lots of money to them and a lot of seeds, too, because when Marc started selling seeds, nobody else in America was able to sell or get seeds. It wasn't easy to do. So Marc was willing to take that risk. He said, California's got medical marijuana legal now, and they need seeds. So he decided to sell seeds and use that money to finance activism. So for a decade, everybody in the marijuana industry knew that Marc Emery Direct Seeds was a name and a face and a personal cell phone number that you could reach anytime. And he ran in elections. He ran for office at every level of government. He did a huge amount of good for the marijuana movement, which is well documented in movies like Messing Up the System, Escape to Canada, The Prince of Pot, the U.S. versus Marc Emery. The Union even has a segment on him, and another documentary called Citizen Marc is coming out pretty soon in theaters, actually. So there's a lot out there. There's even more than all that, and people can see the impact Marc had, not only in Canada, but in the U.S. as an activist and a financer. And in 2005, the United States government came up into Canada and worked with Canadian police to have Marc arrested, even though he paid income tax on all of the sales, and even though he was completely transparent on CNN, on Wall Street Journal, New York Times. He had been arrested numerous times and kept opening up, refused to be taken down, but never left Canada. But Canadian police couldn't stop him, so they brought in the U.S. to help out. And he was arrested on 3 charges of conspiracy to manufacture marijuana, which was knowing that people were growing it, conspiracy to distribute it, which was selling the seeds, and conspiracy to launder money. That was a 30-year mandatory minimum sentence he was facing, and he had 2 co-accused, one who died in 2010 of cancer, Michelle Ramey. But Marc and these 2 friends of his who helped with so much activism were facing 30 years to life in prison. So they took plea deals. Marc was the only one who got prison time. He accepted a 5-year plea deal and was extradited in May 2010. When he was arrested, people should know by going to the front page of freemarc.ca, and that's Marc with a C. You can see that the Drug Enforcement Administration themselves admitted that his arrest was political. They called him the leader of a legalization group and said that it would be a significant blow to the marijuana legalization movement. It said that hundreds of thousands of dollars of Emery's illicit proceeds were spent on marijuana legalization activists and efforts, and you can see that entire press release on the front page of freemarc.ca, and it's important to note that they never even mentioned the word seeds, and that's all Marc did. He sent seeds through the mail so that medical marijuana users all across America could get the medicine, and now, thanks to his efforts before anyone else was taking the risk, up to 2005, Marc was the #1 source of marijuana seeds and genetics into the United States, and many people have had their lives saved and improved because of those risks that he took. And now he's paying the price, but thankfully we've seen a lot of reform, a lot of action, a lot of people stepping up and filling in his shoes, and we need more and more people like that. And we even have his own U.S. prosecutor, John McKay, now calling for legalization and working towards legalizing in Washington state. So even though Marc is away, and I miss him terribly, and it's an enormous injustice, and there are hundreds of thousands of others who are also incarcerated in this drug war who should not be there, who should be sent home immediately, who never harmed anyone. Those people and Marc are victims of this war on drugs, and it continues to get worse in many ways, but it also continues to get better through the activism and campaigning of people who are trying to end the arrests and end this war on drugs.
Absolutely. And I want to just jump in and call out the hypocrisy of this. Canada has a law against selling seeds, I believe I read, and the penalty for that is something like $400 or $500. You know, it's treated like it should be, like a, you know, civil offense, if you will.
Absolutely.
And I very much see this as a political statement. I think, you know, the administration now, in my mind, is really not much different than the administration when they came after Marc. I mention this a lot, but it's my one conservative side. I'm very much a fiscal conservative. And I come at it from that angle as, why are we spending our money to prosecute a citizen of another country for a nonviolent offense when it's something that could have been taken care of in Canada, and I'm sure Marc would have paid the fine and been right here beside us right now chatting.
Absolutely.
You know, I think it's something for his prosecutor to be standing up. That's huge. I think what I would like to see personally is what just happened with Rick Simpson. I mean, we need to exonerate him and send him home to you.
Absolutely, and same with all the other drug war prisoners, because that's the worst part for me and Marc. I mean, we are grateful every day to have messages of support. We get people writing us and telling us beautiful, wonderful things with horrible, tragic stories of their own, but telling us that we keep them going. And we have, you know, Marc's name. We know that people know who he is. He's got decades of activism and support behind him, including political support. And there are so many people that we know personally and that we know of through all our years of activism who don't benefit from that same kind of support. So every day we're conscious that, number one, we've got a lot to be very grateful for. We've got each other, we've got our love, we've got friends, we've got support. And number two, he's coming home in just over 2 years, where we know that there are many others, including Eddie Lepp and Roger Christie and so many others who don't even have names that we know. We'll never know who they are, but they've got 20 years, 30 years life sentences for these harmless crimes, for these offenses that wouldn't even exist if the law was just changed. And for us, that's the motivation here. That's how I make it through each day without getting depressed for myself, is knowing that I am so, so fortunate. I am so lucky to even have this opportunity to speak to you and your listeners, for example, but any opportunity to speak at events when I do the live national television or getting op-eds published in newspapers across Canada, all sorts of things I do in order to bring attention to those who don't have the same opportunity. So every day I'm grateful, and I take the support that I receive and that Marc receives, and we try and put it out there for those who need it, because that's what this is about. It's never been about me and Marc wanting everyone to work for us and get him home, because there's nothing really that can be done in that sense. Sure. What we want and what we need from people is them to promise they will do everything they can to support any means necessary to end the arrests and incarceration of nonviolent people. That's number one for both of us. So with Marc's prosecutor, he doesn't say he's sorry. He even says that he doesn't regret putting Marc in prison. But for me and Marc, knowing that he is supporting a legalization initiative, that he speaks regularly about the failure of prohibition, that he says marijuana should be legal, that's apology enough. That's what we need from all sorts of people. And that's why law enforcement against prohibition and all these groups who come forward deserve our support and our praise, no matter whether we agree with them on everything or not. The fact that they're willing to speak out deserves our support.
Absolutely. We talk to him on the show, and he speaks in D.C., Sean Dunnigan, and, you know, I fully endorse LEAP. I love that organization. You know, I think that it's a testament to people waking up, to our lawmakers, prosecutors, judges, cops, saying, whoa, this is ridiculous. I want to keep you around for just a couple more minutes. There's one more thing I want to talk to you about. We're going to take a quick commercial break, though. Can I keep you around for 5 or 10 more?
Oh, absolutely, of course.
All righty, we're going to put you on hold for just a second. We'll be right back here on Overgrow the Radio.
Let's face it, rules and regulations are complicated, especially in the field of medical marijuana. Let Medical Marijuana 101 help you get through the compliance process. We can also explain to you your employment requirements, your employees, and your business. But our work doesn't stop there. Our experience in cultivation ranges from the design of grow rooms to the diagnosis and resolution of grow problems. Visit us at www.medicalmarijuana101.com or call 303-388-7706. That's 303-388-7706.
Hi, Josh Stanley here from National Geographic's American Weed. I'm here with my brothers, and we've just recently put together a foundation in Colorado to allow for cancer patients and other patients of debilitating conditions to be able to get a hold of cannabis-based oil that's just about free of charge. I've just about had it with seeing sick patients suffer needlessly just because they can't afford the proper medication. That's what the Realm of Caring is going to change. Visit therealmofcaring.com. The website will be complete and up on 4/20 of 2012. But until then, please contact any of us Stanley Brothers directly through email. You can get us at gratefuljosh@hotmail.com. Now come on, Colorado. We need to take care of each other. Join the Realm. That's realmofcaring.com. Thank you so much.
What's up, Colorado? This is J-Dub.
And this is Dust. We're the Weed Pimps.
That's right. Come on down to our warehouse at 62A Mount View Lane, Colorado Springs, Colorado, 80907. Any day of the week, anytime, and we will show you glass blowing, screen printing, and everything we do at the Weed Pimp Warehouse.
That's right. You can get your custom screen print. We also do rush orders. If you need a heat press, we can get that done.
That's right. Also check out our mobile advertising. In the meantime, get with us on Weed Pimp Clothing on Facebook
and on the YouTube channel,
WPTVJDub.
And if you need to get a hold of us at our warehouse, the phone number is
913-484-4550,
719-684-5793.
Ladies of Colorado, we've kept you in mind. Look out for our full line of
The Ganja Girl. That's right. If you want to look fly, make sure you get your smoking gear.
Weed Pimp Clothing, ladies first.
Ganja Girl approved.
Ganja Girl approved.
Hi, I'm Josh Stanley.
And I'm Jesse Stanley.
Two of the brothers here from National Geographic's American Weed, and we'd like to invite you to come into our dispensaries in Colorado Springs. Come in for the most pure organic strain selection in Colorado. It's all hand-grown by the Stanley brothers, especially for our patients. So come in and visit us at our two locations, East Platte and West Colorado. And remember,
always be kind to each other.
The law offices of Edson, Maton, and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188. Or visit us online at warrenedson.com.
And welcome back to Overgrow the Radio. I think I'll stay for like another, half an hour or so. We good for that? All right, we're back, and we've got Jody Emery on the phone, wife of Marc Emery, who is sitting in our federal prison at taxpayers' expense for selling seeds. What a horrible, horrible crime. We should definitely go after everyone who has anything to do with the cannabis plant, because it is evil and dangerous. Hey, Jody.
Hey.
So I'm going to bring you back in on sort of, what I found to be a funny note. I'm kind of a sarcastic person, and from what I've watched and gathered, it seems like Marc may appreciate this. You know, here we are locking Marc and, the hundreds of thousands of people up for cannabis, when our commander-in-chief admittedly smoked cannabis. And then today I read this article that tells me that he not only smoked it, but led a gang called the Shoom, C-H-O-O-M.
Shoom.
Yeah, Shoom gang. back in like high school and college, not only is that condoning cannabis use, but it's condoning cannabis use by a minor. And he wasn't just a part of this gang, according to his friends. He was the leader. So how can he sit I guess how can he sleep at night, knowing people like your husband are locked up, when he was probably one of the biggest smokers around in his day?
Oh, hypocrisy is one of the number one issues we deal with, and that's the hardest thing, is having this political establishment that we know is in on it, either being a Choom gang leader like the president, or by being directly involved otherwise. I mean, that's one of the toughest things about this fight to end prohibition, is once we get all the public support on our side, which we mostly have, and we've got all the medical evidence, and we've got all the statistical evidence, we've got all the crime rate evidence, all the murders in Mexico, all the evidence proves that the war on drugs is a deadly, costly, bloody failure, and yet it continues, and we wonder why. Well, once you start brushing away just the surface dirt, you discover that the CIA is guilty of dealing drugs to cartels and criminals, that the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Administration, admitted to the New York Times that, yes, they laundered the money of drug cartels, and the ATF, alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, well, they admit to providing weapons to the drug cartels. So, in fact, the government itself seems to be quite deeply involved with the organized crime they purport to be against. But once you start bringing that up, people, conspiracy theory, and start to roll their eyes, and a lot of straight mainstream types just cannot comprehend that the supposed good guys are actually the bad guys. That's a really hard thing for people to wrap their heads around, and that's something that marijuana helps people do. It opens your mind to other ideas. It allows you to see things from new angles. And number one, marijuana, when you smoke it, you want peace. You don't approve of war. You don't approve of violence or force or cruelty or meanness of any kind. And you find out that your government is guilty of doing all that bad stuff. So marijuana turns you into a hippie who protests against the Vietnam War, for example. It turns you into somebody who doesn't want to be sucked up into the draft. And when it comes to Obama, these are people who may have believed the same things at some point, but they're in office now, and it seems that there's a gun being held to their head behind some sort of hidden curtain that forces them or encourages them to continue to increase this war. I mean, Obama has increased the drug war worse than anybody else. Because of Obama refusing to really make a difference, refusing to really change things in the way that people had hoped, 1 in 9 Black Americans are still behind bars. 1 in 9 of his own brothers, of his own people that he has been defending and speaking of representing, he continues to keep locked up. These are people who haven't hurt anybody else. Many of them have never hurt anybody else. So this Obama presidency, the administration that he has, they're just hypocrites through and through. And once you start really trying to figure out why, it becomes a pretty ugly picture of who's involved with whom and why it continues.
Yeah, if you follow the money trail, it leads right back to law enforcement, big pharma. It's not hard. That's the great thing about the internet nowadays, is if you Google things like, CIA drug trafficking, you're going to come up with stories about places like Mena, Arkansas. I encourage people to look into that. Old Billy, Slick Willie Clinton's old stomping grounds. So there's one more thing I want to touch on real quick, because a lot of people don't know this. Obviously we were snooping around in some aspect to even start to give you guys an issue up there. And I didn't know this until I actually knew about your guys' story, that we have DEA field offices in Canada.
Yeah.
How many field offices do we have in Canada? Do you have any idea?
I think there's at least 3. I know there's one in Vancouver. I know there's one in Ottawa, and there may be one in Toronto. A Cannabis Culture magazine, which Marc started, Marijuana and Hemp newsletter that I mentioned earlier, turned into Cannabis Canada and then Cannabis Culture magazine, which was widely distributed until they had to stop printing in 2009 with his imprisonment sentence coming in. Sure. But Marc's magazine covered the DEA expanding out of the United States and into countries around the world, including here in Vancouver. You can find video and photos of a rally that we held after Marc was arrested, and we got him out on bail, and we had 5 years of fighting extradition of him being in Vancouver. So we had protests and rallies, and you can see from right downtown. It's got to be, oh goodness, only 10 blocks away from our Cannabis Culture headquarters is the DEA headquarters in downtown Vancouver. And if you watch the movie The Prince of Pot, which I'll admit is a bit embarrassing because it was filmed quite a few years ago and I wasn't as sophisticated in my arguments as I am now, but if you do watch that movie, it does a great job explaining what Marc did, why he did it, why he was targeted by the DEA, and what this means for Canada. I mean, our government is joining up with your government to allow U.S. law enforcement, the U.S. government, is working on Canadian soil. Under Canadian law, they can now carry out any law enforcement duties in Canada. So we've got some deep integration going on, and Marc's arrest, many saw as the beginning of that. It was an example that even as a Canadian citizen who never left Canada for the United States, who never went to the U.S. and didn't have any employees down there, who only sent seeds through the mail, he was able to be stolen from his home country and face life in a foreign prison and had to plead guilty to get 5 years in order to make it home alive. That's the kind of thing we're dealing with. That's what the DEA does. That and many other things. The DEA murders people. It destroys lives every single day. And marijuana legalization activists have never hurt anybody. So that's when you know we're on the good guy side.
Absolutely.
And that the DEA is the bad guy.
Well, and obviously you must not have sufficient law enforcement in Canada. I mean, they were able to raid Rick Simpson's grow, which I believe it was, hundreds of plants or whatever. But to come after you guys in a storefront, that must have been too much. It must have been overwhelming for them. So they needed the DEA's assistance.
Well, the real story is that the Canadian Marc heckled the drug czar when he came to Vancouver. He bought a table at a big event of law enforcement and the mayor-elect and the former mayor of Vancouver. And when the drug czar was saying that marijuana destroys lives and we would shut down the border if Canada legalizes, Marc and his table of people heckled him and booed him. And this is all recorded in the Prince of Pot movie. So check it out on YouTube if you like. But he heckled them, and then Canadian law enforcement started investigating Marc, and the Crown, they decided whether to lay charges. The Crown in BC said, we don't want to charge Marc Emery. It's not worth it. Everybody knows that that's ridiculous. It's only a fine. We aren't going to go after him. And that's when the file went to the U.S. We even have former Vancouver police officers admitting that they gave the file to the Americans to deal with Marc instead. And that's why Marc was indicted on conspiracy charges, because you only have to know a crime is being committed to be guilty of conspiracy. And I would argue, of course, that the government here who took his tax money and met with him about his seed business, and every person who knew that he was selling seed is guilty of conspiracy. So we should all be in prison. But
that's
of course, that's absurd.
Absolutely my argument here with the Fed sending letters to dispensaries here in Colorado. As you know, we have an amendment. We're the only medical state with one. So in my mind, every time that they come in and bust down a door and press charges against someone, they in turn should be convicting the state on the same charges as a co-conspirator. It's really sad what happened to Canadian sovereignty in this, and I want to get you back on again. Obviously, we could talk for hours about many topics. But before we have to get out of here, I first want to, wish you guys well and give Marc our best. And, I know you guys are both staying strong. I try to catch up on your website from time to time on what's going on. If there's anything we can ever do to promote, let us know, because, as you just said, what we're doing here every week is basically what you guys did and why they didn't like you. So we'll keep calling people out and keep heckling people until this is over. But give
yes,
us...
and of course, as Marc wants, most of all, most importantly, our countries, our sovereignty, our individual liberty is so important, and people need to make sure that while they're free, while they're not behind bars, they do something, they take some action to make a difference, because once you're locked up, it's really hard to have an impact. So it's our duty as free people right now out here and on the internet and able to speak with our voices to do that for all those who don't have the same liberty and freedom and opportunity. So thank you for giving me this opportunity. It's very valuable to reach out to new audiences.
Absolutely, anytime. And I want you to give a shout out, like your web address, how folks can get in contact with you so we can spread the word.
Absolutely. Yeah, cannabisculture.com, one of the top weed websites on the internet. Lots of political news, grow, medical activism, all sorts of stuff. A brand new website we launched. Pot.tv, www.pot.tv, one of the oldest websites streaming video on the internet, one of the first online to ever stream video, and started in 2000 with over a decade of information and history. And of course, freemarc.ca, that's Marc with a C.ca. That's where Marc has his prison blogs, his daily countdown clock to his release, his mailing address so people can send him a letter of support, and my weekly videos that I do to let people know how he's doing, what I'm up to, and all the good and uplifting news I can bring to the marijuana movement.
Right on. Well, keep up the great fight, Jody. I admire what you do, and let's have you on again real soon. Thanks.
Thank you so much. All the best to you guys in Colorado.
Thank you. Have a great night.
All
right.
Bye.
We're going to cut to commercial here real quick, and then we're going to come back with one more Canadian friend, ElectroPig Von Fökkengrüüven. I didn't say that right. We'll be right back here on Overgrow the Radio.
What's up, Colorado? This is J-Dub. And this is Dust. We're the Weed Pimps. That's right. Come on down to our warehouse at 62A Mount View Lane, Colorado Springs, Colorado, 80907. Any day of the week, anytime. And we will show you glass blowing, screen printing, and everything we do at the Weed Pimp warehouse.
That's right. You can get your custom screen print. We also do rush orders. If you need a heat press, we can get that done.
That's right. Also check out our mobile advertising. In the meantime, get with us on Weed Pimp Clothing on Facebook
and on the YouTube channel,
WPTVJDub.
And if you need to get a hold of us at our warehouse, the phone number is
913-484-4550,
719-684-5793.
Ladies of Colorado, we've kept you in mind. Look out for our full line of
The Ganja Girl. That's right. If you want to look fly, make sure you get your smoking gear.
Weed Pimp Clothing. Ladies first.
Ganja Girl approved.
Ganja Girl approved.
Are you a runner? Are you a runner who supports marijuana legalization? Run on Grass is a group of athletes actively seeking to change our marijuana laws. We speak the truth about cannabis, bringing the message through our feet to new ears. Check out runongrass.com to find out more about us, our events, and how to join up or how to sponsor a runner. If you're in the Denver area, please join us for runs or start a group in your area. Running not your thing? Any sport can do it. On grass. Runongrass.com.
The law offices of Edson, Maton, and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188. Or visit us online at warrenedson.com.
Are you a medical marijuana patient or interested in finding out how to become one? Contact Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. Conveniently located on Hamden and Tamarack in the Whole Foods parking lot behind Proof of the Pudding. Mile High Wellness offers a wide variety of edibles, hashes, and some of Colorado's top strains. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. 3525 South Tamarack, Suite 110, on the corner of Hamden and Tamarack. 720-382-8516. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern.
Hi, Josh Stanley here from National Geographic's American Weed. I'm here with my brothers, and we've just recently put together a foundation in Colorado to allow for cancer patients and other patients of debilitating conditions to be able to get a hold of cannabis-based oil that's just about free of charge. I've just about had it with seeing sick patients suffer needlessly just because they can't afford the proper medication. That's what the Realm of Caring is going to change. Visit therealmofcaring.com. The website will be complete and up on 4/20 of 2012. But until then, please contact any of us Stanley brothers directly through email. You can get us at gratefuljosh@hotmail.com. Now come on, Colorado. We need to take care of each other. Join the Realm. That's realmofcaring.com. Thank you so much.
Let's face it, rules and regulations are complicated, especially in the field of medical marijuana. Let Medical Marijuana 101 help you get through the compliance process. We can also explain to you your employment requirements, your employees, and your business. But our work doesn't stop there. Our experience in cultivation ranges from the design of grow rooms to the diagnosis and resolution of grow problems. Visit us at www.medicalmarijuana101.com or call 303-388-7706. That's 303-388-7706.
And we're back here on Overgrow the Radio. I keep missing my cues tonight, man. I guess I'm a little off. So we're going to dial up, we're going to finish off our 2 hours here with another Canadian friend, Mr. Pig. I think Chris is dialing him up now, but he runs an organization called Overgrow the World, which is pretty similar to Overgrow the Government. You know, it promotes unity in fighting and into this. An organization called Overgrow the World. Oh. Hey, I can hear his radio. Are you there?
I should shut that down.
Yeah, we might get some reverb off that.
Yeah.
How are you, sir?
I am breathing.
So I introduced you as ElectroPig Von Fökkengrüüven because that's all that I've ever known you as. I hope that's okay.
Close enough.
Right on, right on. I just briefly touched on Overgrow the World. I'm going to let you jump in and tell us who you are and what you do.
Well, for all intents and purposes, people have to understand I am just one person. So, in the most general possible sense, I am nobody. It's the other people out there that are actually going to make the difference. It's not just me speaking. I just want to get people's minds open and get everybody pointed toward the same goal so that we can actually get somewhere. Because, you know, one voice is great for a starter. But if the rest of us aren't willing to think about what's said and to understand what has to be done, we're not going to get very far.
Absolutely. I mean, I think unity is key, and in that unity, we all have to do our part. I admire that, you know, for the longest time with the DC thing, I tried to stay, well, and I still do. I try to keep behind the scenes as much as I can because it's not about me, it's not about you or any of us, it's about all of us together.
Yeah, it's like I'm 100% behind Rick Simpson. 1,000% behind Jack Hare. I know a few of Jack's closest associates over the last few years are listening right now. As a matter of fact, I've gotten a few messages saying, when are you on? When are you on? So that kind of built me up a little bit. But you know, these are people. If we want to listen to what they say, they're going to lead us in the right direction.
Absolutely. I mean, that's, you know, I think all of us, everyone involved to a sense has to take on that leadership role. Some people are just more comfortable getting the word out than others, and we all do it in different forms. Some of us do it publicly, some of us do it over the internet. I mean, either way, it's essential that, you know, everyone has something to add to this fight. I hate to use words like fight and war, but really that's just the truth. That's where we're at.
Yeah, we just haven't started getting shot in incredibly large numbers in the main streets. They've managed to do all the shooting at our homes and things like that.
And write it off as, you know, well, he had a gun. Never mind the fact we were coming through his door at 4 a.m. The gun was on safety and unloaded, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Or the fact that they're not doing that for Grandma, who's got the tomatoes in the backyard, or in the backyard, or, you know, the people who've got opium poppies growing in their front lawn. Like in Canada, it's completely legal. You can grow China white opium poppies in your front garden, and you will not have the slightest lick of trouble. But if you've got one weed plant, you're one of those goddamn gophers. And they got to come down and take you down. Well, you know, I have nothing against those who smoke opium. I have a major problem with those who smoke the processed parts of opium, heroin and all that other stuff. You know, there's a lot of things that I disagree with, but it's none of my business. That's part of the core values of LEAP. You know, eliminate, or that's law enforcement. Law enforcement against prohibition. They want to eliminate all drug prohibition.
Mm-hmm.
As far as Canada is concerned, I don't think that we're really quite prepared to go that far. But I think we're just at the cusp of hitting that critical mass of people who are informed enough to understand that at least we can completely repeal the prohibition of cannabis. If we do that, that would actually have a lot more spin-offs, because, well, imagine a farmer growing, you know, 20 acres of Durban poison or 30 acres of white widow. You know, these are medically viable strains, and they could sell the bud to the medicinal area. They could use the seeds either from the medicinal growers or for food or even for fuel. They'd have the additional market for the stems and stalks for paper. The farmers would be laughing if they had access to these gigantic 26-foot tall Australian sativas that they're growing down there. I mean, you want to talk about a fiber plant, that would be it. Plus the benefit of having the medicinal bud, the medicinal seeds to spread around. You want to talk about a way to lower prices too. You've got a guy growing 100 acres of that stuff. Prices are going to plummet. You're not going to be talking about, you know, $25 for 10 seeds. We're talking about $25 for 1,000, if that.
Sure. Hey, we ran a little short on time, and I apologize, and we will have you back. But real quick before we have to cut out of here, I want to spend a couple minutes. There's an event in Canada every year, the Treating Yourself Expo, and I know you and our last guest, Jody, were both there. I didn't have time to talk to her about it, but I wanted to get your take on it and what you thought of it.
Well, actually, my take on it was, well, you can hear it in my voice. I talk to so many people that I'm just absolutely hoarse.
Sure.
But we had an absolutely great time. I shared Marco's booth, the Treating Yourself magazine booth, with Julia from petermcwilliams.org.
Nice.
And, you know, we've been talking back and forth with, you know, so many people. But I had always wanted to finally meet Julia, and that was absolutely great.
She's a sweetheart.
Oh, yeah. Bar none, she was the best speaker out of the whole place. I didn't get to meet as many people as I had hoped to, because, you know, you're stuck in a booth.
Sure.
But you know, the people that I did meet, you know, the seed vendors, you know, a few of them gave me a couple of free samples, and I ended up, as I met different medicinal users that said, yeah, I was looking at those, but they were too expensive, and I just said, well, here, take them. You know.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, they weren't really surprised. Well, they were free to me. So why shouldn't I pass them on to someone who's going to get some absolutely beneficial use out of it? If they can't afford them, well, all of a sudden, there they got them. You know, this is the whole idea.
Absolutely, it's pay it forward, and I think we see that in our world a lot. You know, we take care of each other. Right. Well, Mr. Pig, I hate to cut us short, man, but I've got to do our little closing here and get out of here, or my producer's going to get tired and fall asleep over here. Let me just get you to plug your website real quick.
It's Overgrow the World. We've got a couple of groups on Facebook. Look for Overgrow the World V2.0 on Facebook, or overgrow.ning.com.
Right on, sir.
That's the main website.
Well, thank you so much for coming on, and as I said, we will get you back on soon. And keep fighting. I know Canada's taken a few steps backwards in the last year or two, but we'll all get there soon enough.
Okie dokie.
Thank you, sir. Have a good evening.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Well, I think, Mr. Custer, we're about to get out of here. I just want to mention real quick, next week's show, it's actually my birthday. We're going to be I don't know about birthday cake. Maybe you'll make me some cake. I don't know.
I don't know. I know people that make cakes, though. If you're nice to them, they might make you something.
Medicated cake for
maybe, I don't know.
birthday. Come on, guys. You're out there. I know you're listening.
There's a certain cousin of mine that makes some
Cousin D. We're going to give him a shout-out, call him out. No, he makes great cupcakes. So next week's show, we're going to go a little political. We like to
political.
I know, that's hard. That's a reach for us. We're going to talk to Mr. Edson, our faithful attorney at law here on site. We're going to bring Lono up from Eagle's Nest Wellness in the Springs. He's had some battles with the city and kind of put the city in his place, and I admire him a lot for that. We're also going to have some folks on from C4 CPR. They're going to make a trek up from down south as well. And we may or may not have a surprise guest that I'm working on. We'll just say he's a politician of sorts.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he is.
Is he cool?
He's pretty cool. He likes cannabis and hemp. So he's cool with us. So make sure you tune in next week.
I was trying to think of something smart-ass to say about it.
Yeah, I could see your wheels turning. Well, we're gonna get out of here. It's time to smoke a bowl, top it with some wax, and relax for the evening. Make sure you tune in for next week's show, and until next time, just get out there and educate someone. We love you. Peace.